Party nerds, 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 party nerds.
What's going on, people? I'd like to welcome y'all to the next installment of Partynerdz presents Grandmaster FAQS. And today I am giving you the superhero underrated podcast. Who do you feel, per se, in your own minds, are the most underrated characters in comic books, period? I will be pushing this podcast as a opinionated thought of my personal top 5, as well as one, I say, underrated team in all of comic books. Some of these people, of course, have never made it to a feature film, nor a TV series, and haven't really gotten the shine that they deserve. Definitely a occurring topic as we move forward and push forward with a lot of the phases that will be going on pretty soon in the MCU and the DC universes. Now, we're not sure, of course, as I talked about in my first podcast, where exactly are we going to go? So, with that being said, what new characters can we bring to the fold to kind of push the envelope and see who can we introduce that can be popularized amongst society, that people will be in awe of, that the stories can carry a narrative that will be intrigued enough for the common person that's going to a movie theater, or the person that's binging watching a series of said superhero on a given basis and enjoy it. You know, we've of course, since I can remember, we've introduced numerous characters, and for those of us that do still read comic books, there's so many characters out there that I believe that we have not even touched a smidgen of the variety and the vast universes that come to mind. So I give to you my top five, most underrated characters in comic books. Number 5, Moon Knight. Now, this is a character that is now going to be in development per Netflix as a Netflix Marvel TV show. Of course, this comic was introduced in 1975. You can think of him as an alternate to Batman. He didn't have the whole story, of course, where his parents got killed, in which posed the rebellion as such. This is somebody who worked as a mercenary, made a lot of money as a mercenary, and on one fateful trip to Egypt, he got into a confrontation with Bushmaster, and upon almost reaching death, surfaced a connection with the moon god Khonsu, and became Earth's avatar, and became Moon Knight by then displaying his cloak. Returned to Earth by all the money that he made as a mercenary, developed an empire as a millionaire entrepreneur. Go figure. I mean, how many times now have we had millionaires exploit themselves as superheroes? But he's always been a pretty cool character. Has developed and has been correspondent and collaborative in many of the teams, a la the Avengers, a la the New Warriors, and has helped out in tons of battles. And his hand-to-hand skills are beyond this world. So I say for anybody that's going to push this man into any type of series, any type of development, that they do him that justice. All right. Number four. Number four is Lobo. Okay. Lobo is somebody who was around since 1983, but in the 90s got extremely popular because Marvel had started to do a lot of like gritty, dark comics, like all the Wolverine solo series, the Punisher solo series, when Cable came out with X-Force, all those came out, and it was a lot more violent, and you saw a ton more like gunplay, a lot of talking shit, and you know, it was definitely the decade of a badass character, and Lobo was just one of them. You know, Lobo came onto the scene, of course, somebody that rode around on a demonic bicycle. Actually, if you read, there's a Deadpool comic where they used it as like a parody, and DC actually used him as a parody too. When those three comics came out, with Punisher and Wolverine and Cable, you know, Lobo was transformed into a parody of those three comics. You know, Wolverine came out as this like this asshole, super violent anti-hero, and so DC wanted to make a parody of an asshole, extra violent superhero. You know, this is coming from a person that was kicked out of the Justice League, just like that. You know, because he didn't give a fuck who he stomped. He just wanted to make sure that there was total obliteration, nobody in his way, and there was no plan on his behalf. But the Deadpool comic that I was referencing, they actually made fun of him. They made up a character called Dirty Wolf. He was like a blue skinned alien creature that was riding around on a demonic motorcycle. And take note that Lobo is actually Stan Lee's favorite DC character. He's quoted in saying this. Definitely one of my favorite characters. Not too sure if in development I would see DC introducing him, because they're so caught up in what the Justice League is bringing now, and that extra manifold of what the Justice League is, and the characters that they wanted to bring in, and it's the quintessential characters that we've seen: Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. You know, to bring him along, like they're gonna bring Aquaman in, they're trying to bring in Shazam, they're trying to bring in Black Adam, they're trying to introduce those characters, but they're more so want to see which one is going to stick, which one can carry the mantle if the original lineups go away. And I think Lobo would create a good choice because DC, other than the Constantine film, has yet to really explore the extra violent rated R movies given to a superhero character. Number three. Number three, I give that to my wild card. My wild card is by Variant Comics, and it is Bloodshot. Now, Bloodshot is a character that I read as a kid. I actually like picked this comic up just because of how cool this dude looked. Like, he almost looked like cold as ice, super strong, and super entertaining. He had gunplay. His hand to hand was sick, and he was unstoppable. Now this is a person that could heal well. He was embodied into his blood nanites, like small miniature, but billions of them, supercomputers that can heal him at any given moment. So when he goes into a situation where the shit hits the fan and he's the only one in the room, there's no stopping this dude. There's no stopping this guy at all. That's my wild card, Bloodshot. And we also heard recently that movie is in development. My number two character, my number two character is Martian Manhunter. I've always been a fan of Martian Manhunter. His time in the Justice League, I always feel like he got the short end of the stick. He's comparable in the Justice League as Vision is to the Avengers. Somebody that is highly intelligent. Of course, comes from an alien race. He was developed in the 1950s because, of course, back then we were just getting over our super craze fixation with Mars and Martians and UFOs. So you knew there was going to be an alien character brought around, and there have been many. But somebody that was ultimately a good guy, and he actually has the name Martian in his name. And he's proven to be a well-deserved ally to the Justice League. He came to Earth on a transport beam. His entire civilization and species had been wiped out by his twin brother, Malefic. That was actually a great story, by the way. One of the books that I read on Martian Manhunter was a story that his twin brother had found out because he was living in Mars alone, but found that his brother was still alive and wanted to complete the genocide. And there was an ultimate battle between Martian Manhunter, aka Jones, and his twin brother Malefic. And the storyline is impeccable. It's superb writing on behalf of any type of DC writers that were incorporated with that book. But he's almost been the one that devises all plans. Like, he doesn't mind that there is a negative thought brought to the table whenever the Justice League tends to have differences. I mean, shit, in order to be incorporated in Earth, Superman brought this man to his house for Christmas. He has epitomized loyalty to the Justice League, and I feel like his character is completely underwhelmed. My number one is a Marvel character that I see has a ton of potential when it comes to carrying a franchise and moving it forward. And I've talked about him in my first podcast. And this is Nova. Richard Rider himself. The equivalent to, I'd say, Green Lantern. Because Green Lantern has a Green Lantern Corps. Nova has Nova Corps. We were introduced to his home planet of Xandar in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I would ultimately love to see this character brought to life. He is superb in all facets of his abilities and what he brings to the table. And I'd say in all these story arcs, whether it been Annihilus, the Annihilus Nova story, the Infinity War story, the New Warriors stories where he leads the bunch, and even in the comedic parody where they were a part of a reality show, Nova is a supreme character. Like, he's not this character that's just going to, okay, I just battle the forces of evil throughout the cosmic universe and then I come back. He's been funny, childlike as Richard Rider. He's been forthright in his decision making. He's young, so we haven't seen him, of course, normally in the points where he has administered the lead. But I believe in some instances, in some of those comic threads, that he can be so much more. And if he's brought to the screen, I feel like his abilities will subsede the motion picture. And if it's done right with the right actor. But there you have it. That is my number one. Richard Rider is Nova. My wild card for my most underrated team is a current, and I say current because this team was developed in 2007. This is not a team that you would depict as like the Justice League or the Avengers. This team was created after the Kree Skrull War, and it was developed because they felt as though if we matched up the cosmic universe's intellect with the intellect of these gentlemen, then there would be no need for the ultimate battles to happen on Earth, and for there to be total decimation without any complete thought of what is going to happen brought together. And this team is the Illuminati. Now, the first series of the Illuminati, as I said, was in 2007. The team consists of Iron Man as a representative of the Avengers, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, as a representative of the Fantastic Four, Namor as a representative of Atlantis, Black Bolt as a representative of the Inhumans, Professor X is the representative of the X-Men, and Doctor Strange as a representative of the Sorcerer Supremes. And that collective then initiates the discussion of what can be seen in the universe that can destroy Earth before it happens, so that no lives and no casualties can be brought to focus. We will fight the fights before they happen and put them down on paper. But the way I see it, the stories that have come out with the Illuminati, of course, there's only been a few. There was the New Avengers Illuminati. There was the battle after the Kree Skrull War, which then brought them together because of the destruction of Earth. But I see that embodiment, if anybody really wants to put that together and keep that going, and that can be developed, if it can. I mean, as much of us that we like to get our wish list, this is a storyline that I know people would find dope. And it could possibly have a form to bring Namor to the screen. It could possibly give somebody another crack at Mr. Fantastic and how much of a mind that he is in the MCU. Not to mention, just on the butt end, is that Matthew Vaughn, the director of the most recent Fantastic Four, had just said that he wouldn't mind taking another crack at a Fantastic Four reboot. Please give me your thoughts about that. If you feel as though another Fantastic Four reboot needs to happen, if you feel like he needs another crack at it, or do you feel like somebody new? I feel as though their story is underestimated and that they need to be rebooted again, and definitely with a better storyline. They don't need to go the origin route. So that's all I have. Please feel free to write your comments below. You can subscribe to Party Nerds on YouTube, and also follow us at Party Nerds on Instagram, the Party Nerds website, and the Party Nerds Facebook page. Also, 6:45 on Wildfire Radio every Tuesday. and we will be back right after New York Comic Con. Take a look at us if you want to see us at New York Comic Con. Anybody that you see with a Party Nerds t-shirt, definitely walk up to us, say what's up. This is Grandmaster FAQS saying peace.
Party nerds, 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 party nerds.